Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about 6 things you can do with a will and 3 things you can't do. And as a disclaimer, I'm a Georgia lawyer, Daniel O'Connor, and so what I'm saying is not legal advice for anybody, and it might not even be accurate for other states other than Georgia, but these things are true for Georgia. So there are 6 really good things that you can do with a will. Let's talk about those. First, you can designate who gets your property after you die. If you die without a will or without a funded living trust, your property is going to go to who the state says that would be. So that may be some combination of your wife and children. If you don't have a wife or children, it would go to your next of kin, and the law prescribes who that would be. So with a will, you can designate who your beneficiaries are. Second great thing that a will can do is that you can designate who your executor, also known as a personal representative, is. If you don't name an executor, the law prescribes who would be the administrator of your estate. So picking who that is important for most people. 3, if you have minor children, you can nominate a guardian for them if you were to die while they were still minors. And this can help the people you leave behind a great deal. 4th, you can fund or create a trust in your will for young kids or irresponsible children or for someone with special needs. You can create a trust that would not just distribute the assets directly to them, that would be held by a responsible adult who could hold the assets until they were ready at a time you determined to receive those. 5, and this is something a lot of people don't think about, is in a will, you can waive bond for your executor. Typically, personal representatives of probate estates have to post a bond. This is sort of like an insurance policy that protects the estate against acts of negligence or wrongdoing by the executor, also known as a personal representative or an administrator. You can waive bond, so that can save your estate money. And 6, you can give your executor or personal representative the powers they need to handle your estate. Normally, the executor would frequently have to file inventories and get permission from the court to sell assets. You can make it much easier on your executor by giving them the appropriate powers under Georgia law. So those are 6 great things you can do with a will. Let's talk about 3 things you can't do in a will. Number one is you can't provide for yourself while you are alive. So a will does not take effect. It's not effective. It can't be used until after you are dead. So for planning for your incapacity, hopefully you never become incapacitated, but you certainly will die. But many people are incapacitated at some point in their life. And a will does nothing to help with that. There would have to be additional planning for that contingency. Second, a will does not avoid probate. It's a common misconception that if I make a will, then that's going to keep the court completely out of my affairs after I die. As I mentioned earlier, you can give your executor a lot of help and avoid a lot of court intervention through provisions that can be included in a will, but you can't avoid the probate process as a whole if you own anything in your name at the time of your death. So there are some other things you can do estate planning wise with a good lawyer to avoid probate, but a will by itself is not going to avoid probate, which of course is a court process that even in the most simple estates lasts at least 6 months, and a more complex or contested estates that last much longer, possibly years. The third thing you can't do in a will is provide for your funeral plans. A lot of people put in their will that they want to be buried or they want to be cremated and they want this song played at their funeral. That's actually completely useless. Like I said, the will doesn't take effect until after you're dead and then it's probated, but nobody gets around to probating the will before your funeral or you're put in the ground. So if you have certain funeral arrangements you want, you need to make those arrangements outside of your will. There are certain documents and planning that you can do to make sure that happens, and pre-funding your funeral, but a will is not going to get it done. So those were 6 things that you can do with a will and 3 things you can't. That's not an exhaustive list, but those are some of the common things that are most prominent. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll look forward to talking to you again.